goes a lot further than just dropping your kids off at school on time. They need to be more aware of what plans are for in case there was an emergency. They need to be more involved in asking their principals and going to their districts and understanding what their role is in all of these different scenarios. If a tornado hits you or if there's an intruder, as a parent, what is your role when that thing happens, so you know how to respond appropriately?
When I had first gone to Sandy Hook, you ring the buzzer to go in, so you're automatically thinking, this is for safety precautions, these are why they're doing it. And when I'd enter in, I'd think, then what? I got in, and now what? And that always stuck with me, that I never said anything, that I never suggested, was there anything else we could do? I knew that the doors didn't lock. I knew all those things about the school, and that's why the day that it happened, it was very emotional for me, because I knew instantly that they were vulnerable and where they were vulnerable. And if someone was able to get into the school, there was lots that could happen. And so I think taking that and looking back on what I felt and thought and never acted upon it, I want to make sure I take our story and we can share that message with people. Don't just think about it and not say anything.
When we do assume that either a government agency or even our own states have these type of plans, that would be so broad, where every one of these scenarios is different depending on where it hits. Every school is built differently. Every city and town is set up a different way. So if you do have an emergency, you need to know what it means for your community. And what's nice about being a part of this community is you can get ideas from everybody else. You have people that might have been somewhere else that had something that worked, or they saw something that didn't work, and you can brainstorm together. And if you can really get that community sense of involvement, that's where a lot of the progress will come, and it'll come quickly because everybody's working together towards a common goal, and it's for our kids.
We had kids that escaped out of our school, and they did exactly what they were trained. They went exactly where they were told, and they went to safety. And we know that that works. We know that they retain that information. It's just making sure that that plan's the right plan and making sure, it's the right thing to do. But we know that it'll work. We want people to remember our faces and say, do we want to be in their position? Because we don't want anyone else to have to go through what we've gone through. And oftentimes, instead of maybe remembering my daughter's face, remember our face and remember the pain that's in our faces. When we have to talk about our daughter no longer being here, we want you to remember that there are things that you can do instead of being in this position that we are in. And I feel like that is what I want people to think of. I want them to not be in our position.
It's hard because when people talk about Emilie now, it's hard to hear her being spoken of in the past tense. And we don't want a parent to have to go through that as well. We want you to look at your children and make sure that you're doing everything within your power to make sure that they are going to go on to live the most happy and productive life that they can. We're not always going to be 100% with that. We definitely know that there's things that happen that, despite our best efforts, are out of our control. But you would hate to be going to bed every night wondering if there was something else you could have done. And we want to make sure that you don't have to have that hanging over your head, whether something like this ever happens to you or not, that you can always go to bed making sure that you did everything you could for the life of your child.